Damn it! Why don't I hate this? I expected to hate this. I was ready to hate this. I wanted to hate this. My cred as the dude who hates everything is on the line here. Even though I'd much rather be known as the dude with really strict standards. But here I am, figure after figure in Legacy, recommending everything when I thought it all looked like crap to begin with. I don't want to start leading people astray because I'm stupid, getting them to waste money on stuff they may not like. How is this happening? I'm not softening up. I refuse to soften up. Trying to hit 10k subscribers by the channel's second birthday on August 8th. If you enjoyed this video by the end, please consider subscribing. So Legacy Kickback. I don't know what it is about Kickback, but for some reason I always get his robot mode mixed up with Shrapnel's, which doesn't even make sense, but I do. And the Legacy figure is pretty much a dead ringer for what he should look like, which I feel pretty confident in saying this time, because for some reason the Insecticons get very few reinterpretations. It's basically this guy and the one from the War for Cybertron games. Not even both of the games, not even the whole second game, just like the second half of the second game after you start playing as Grimlock. This is the spitting image of the character from G1 and almost nowhere else, with a nod to the toy in having the clear chest that seems to be backed by silver paint. This whole part is weird. It looks like it was meant to hinge open, but the clear plastic is actually slotted into the sides here, so there is no way that this is going to move anywhere without breaking it, though I swear it looks like it's on a spring here. Initially, I was really worried about how this guy was going to look. Not because he's the most visually boring of the Insecticons, which he is, but because his arms are bracketed off his body by these clear plastic wings. But in hand, they are nowhere near as bad as they looked in pictures. They honestly seem normal from a lot of angles, and even from its worst, it looks okay. These don't even seem breakable. Legacy feels like Hasbro might have finally, after all this time, learned their lesson with clear plastic, so when it is used, they are using enough of it to not suck and die. He also feels really good in the hand. Got a satisfying weight to him with some dense and pleasant plastics, really concentrated in his lower legs. It's not like they're loaded down with metal or anything, I think it's pretty much just solid plastic, but he stands really well for having such awkward feet. Not much paint here, it seems. Maybe it's all just artificially deflated by being on the inside of his chest, but for the most part, it's just his head, the absolutely gorgeous Decepticon badge on his collar, which I can't tell if the badge is offset or his chest is, and then he's got some minor details on his shins, and that's really it. But it doesn't seem to be hurting him. I mean, he's got some real serious color breakup going on with or without paint. Once again, plastics can do most of the work you need paint to do. And the combination of purple, black, and yellow really breathes life into this Bugaboy. Don't let his wings fool you though, he is not a tall figure. He just feels a little more lanky than is probably deserving because he's faking it with all of this false up. He's really pretty much exactly the same height as Kingdom Warpath. It's funny how the one time these two managed to escape being Legends class, they only just barely do it. I question whether or not they should have painted his wings silver or just cast them in gray plastic because they aren't exactly known for being clear in the show. And is it just me, or is it weird how close the original toy was to its animation model? I don't even think Optimus Prime could boast this level of accuracy. Now here's my question. Why Kickback? The worst of the Insecticons. Why is he first? Not Shrapnel, the team leader, not Bombshell, the character from the team who probably makes the best solo villain with the most development in media out of them all. Instead, Kickback, the guy most famous for getting his head caved in by an old man and his glory days of that one time he kicked Skyfire. Truly, the character that needed to introduce us to the new and improved Insecticons. I do find it a little weird how the front of his bicep is black and the back purple, and when you move his elbow, he is leaving half his arm behind. But it doesn't bother me as much as I would normally think it would. Since we're talking about moving those arms, I should point out that this guy doesn't just feel solid and hefty, he also feels great. His joints all have the most pleasing type of stiffness and smoothness. It's so buttery and effortless. Getting him to do what you want is an absolute joy. I'm just shocked at how well I'm liking this. Though I'm not really liking the head. Kickback never had a great head in G1, and this isn't far off from that, but the few places it takes liberties, it does so at the figure's detriment. The whole thing feels a bit puffy, and I can't help but shake the feeling that he looks like he's straight out of a German synthwave band. Though at the same time, I can't help but hear Hook's voice when I look at that face. I mean, it looks like him, and it's not suffering from a case of terrible 86 heads disease. There has to be a more pithy name for that. There just has to be. It's just, I don't love this head. I think it's the weakest element of the whole figure. But what I can say is that I am otherwise remarkably impressed with the way this guy looks and feels. Honestly, if it didn't quite feel as amazing as it does, I might have been a lot harsher on this thing. I mean, this is a small figure with not a lot in the way of paint. I could very easily see myself going off on this thing for being a waste of money if the build were a lot worse. But so long as the build was at least acceptable, the robot mode here does impress with the visuals. It looks like him, it looks well made, it looks quality. He could be bigger, but the Insecticons were some of the smaller characters, and the wings do at least give him some presence. Now let's get to where I thought this guy was going to immediately fall down, but didn't. Accessories. He comes with two pretty hefty translucent swords that don't look much like swords. You can make the argument that they are, but they are really fat for that. I guess these are painted purple somehow, going by the clear white pegs on the backs, so maybe that's where the paint budget went, though I can't imagine why they wouldn't just cast these in clear purple. For some reason, the pegs that go into the fists snack down to, I think, fit blast effects, so maybe these are intended to be guns as well for some reason? Oh yeah, that's a real impressive blaster you got there. It looks like a leaf that fell from a tree. Then he's got his really impressive gun there. This thing kicks ass. I love how they painted the drum and barrel that gorgeous metallic purple while the rest of it is silver. Really makes those parts stand out. I just love the look of this thing. It looks aggressive, powerful, and mean, and I'm happy to see that it's blast effect compatible. Why are these pegs on and off, here or there, when they should be on every weapon ever, including MP stuff and not even Transformer stuff? So yeah, I like his accessories. His severed bug wings, swords, do the job okay, and at least they're big, plus the colors are cool. Question of the video, how do you feel about the swords? And then the gun rat-a-tat-tats its way into my heart for being awesome. Why does Poseability have to be good on this guy too? Head is a little weak with what I want to say is slightly below average posing, but it does get one more axis of movement than normal. It's got rotation with a tiny amount up-down and a tiny amount left-right. Shoulders pull like 1 more degree than a 90. Maximum elbows. Sword-wielding wrists, and for once these are on a figure that comes with swords. Hips are a bit better than completely unimpeded in all directions. Normal 90 knees, and extreme ankle pivot with toe up. This isn't exactly a barn burner on Poseability, but the elbows and wrists add a lot, and nothing on him feels bad. You don't have to do anything funny to get a pose out of him. You just do what you want to do with him, and he just does it. It's freeing in a weird way that shouldn't be this uncommon. Transformation is where this guy finally shits the bed. It's too simple. That's not the worst thing on the planet, as that can be kind of fun if it lets you transform it 100 times per minute. But the head does basically nothing, and the nothing it's doing is terrible because all it is flipping up a color piece to hide his face, but for some reason it has detents in the open and closed positions, and they are incredibly strong detents. So it's a titanic pain in the ass to get the piece to flip out or put away. Why did this need to lock into these positions? And why could you not give us more access to it? The good news about the whole thing is that despite all the pictures showing off the stupid configuration where you slap the swords onto the clear plastic to make the ugliest wings possible with 2 different types of detail on them, you can instead combine the 2 swords and peg them into a specifically included butthole on the figure, thus giving him an insect's abdomen. And that works okay. You can plug the machine gun in here, and now you got a grasshopper who can both launch themselves suddenly forward and backward. Or they can jump and fire at the same time and go nowhere. The Insecticons never made incredibly convincing animals, but there is more to it this time. For the most part, it's alright, looking pretty much like it should, which is what if a robot pretended to be a bugman, but then you get to the head, and the illusion of this being his bug form really falls apart. I'm not saying that the rest of this is convincing as an insect, I'm saying that the design he's supposed to have falls apart here. Kickback is not supposed to have a giant silver bucktooth, he's not supposed to have a really fat neck, and you can totally catch glimpses of his robot face from a lot of angles. This guy is so simple, and it brings me to a point I always want to make. Heads should transform more often. It shouldn't just go away, it should be part of the process. This would be a lot better if the face flipped around and the brim of his hat swapped out with a black bit. This guy is simple enough, they should have had the real estate and design budget to do that. So the bug mode is almost what it needs to be, but the head is just too much a crack in the armor. In some cases, quite literally. Ultimately, this is a figure that's really surprising me overall. The robot mode is great. It feels very free of hassle in ways that not a lot of figures do. There's nothing to really bug you about it. Terrible pun intended.
Fucking shoot me!
The accessories he comes with are fun and work well with him. The gun is exactly the one he should get, even if it's in better colors than normal. The Poseability is really good, and in some ways a lot less frustrating than normal, and the figure just feels great. I hope I didn't get one with uniquely stellar QC. But the transformation is simple to the point of being dull, and it's kicked down even further by the last step being frustrating and time-consuming to do, basically requiring a tool. And then the bug mode is 99% of the way there, but the 1% it's missing is doing like 40% damage to the cohesion of the whole thing. My final takeaway is that maybe I'm so impressed with this thing because I was expecting it to suck from every angle, but it's actually really good on a few of them. The whole package isn't there, and in some places it's very lacking, so I can understand how you may find this thing uniquely unimpressive. I'm personally having a lot more fun with this thing than I thought I was going to, and I do have to say that this is easily the best figure Hasbro has ever produced of this character by a country mile. But if that doesn't matter to you, it's not going to surprise me. This one is probably like a 6 out of 10 plus or minus 2 points based on your subjective experience with it. Before you go, I have a Discord server. It's safe to say that it didn't turn out how I expected it to. I had never been active in a Discord server with more than like 50 members before, so I was completely unprepared for what having one of my own like that was going to be like, and the ultimate result was that it wasn't moderated like it needed to be, and it wound up very toxic for a long time. But that's finally changed. We have taken a much firmer, more active moderating approach and cleaned up the place. It's now warmer and more welcoming than ever before. So if you abandoned that place and fled to the hills, then maybe come back and take a look. You might find it more to your liking now. And if you've never been there before, pop on in. You might enjoy it. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.